Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. My background is my 38th year coaching football. I've either been a defensive, offensive, or special teams coordinator as well as a head coach at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our A.F.Cs, which again stands for Automatic Front and Coverage. See my A.F.C playlist. For what we call essentially, we call it Detroit tight, but what that means is it's a double cluster. Okay, so I'm going to give you what that means as well. It's a double cluster, meaning it's tight on both sides. Okay, so first of all, when jungle is called, it doesn't matter where the ball is, meaning middle of the field, left hash, right hash. Okay, on R5, on R1, on their 1, their 5. It doesn't matter. It's automatically what we say even Liz. So this is a 10 formation, but it could be 12 personnel. You follow it? So you got to just, that's the simplicity why we have A.F.C plan. So it doesn't matter the personnel. The kids see it's Detroit tight. Okay, and I'm going to get to the cluster in a minute. This is an automatic jungle, 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 which this is how we line up. One way. Boom, done. So again, seeing my A.F.C playlist, jungle means the front. It means the coverage. It even specifies it's even Liz, automatic, no matter where we are. Okay, so jungle by itself, that's what it means. Okay, so now I want to get down here to the bottom where it says jungle equals tight cluster on both sides. And for us, what a cluster is two receivers within a couple of yards of each other. So not a three receiver, that's a bunch. And we even specify within 5 yards. And typically the three receivers themselves are going to make up 5 yards of space or close to it. So a tight cluster, we just say is two receivers only. They're within a yard or two of each other. And to be considered a tight cluster, you have that on both sides. So if we had this tight cluster here, but these two were split wide in a regular twin set, then it's not a check jungle. Same thing, if it was in a tight cluster here and these two receivers were way out here, or you had a tight end with a pro, it's not a jungle. It has to be a cluster on both sides tight to the formation, which is within 5 yards of the tackle. Again, we try and keep it simple. 5 yards is 5 yards for all of our A.F.Cs, okay, including the check war, which is a wide bunch. But it's the 5 yards is the delineation point again. Okay, so the more consistency you have in your rules, the easier it is for your kids to remember. And we don't have, 15 different A.F.Cs. We got what we call the big three. All right, so please see my A.F.C playlist. So back to jungle specifically, okay? Our split front involves the rover being a part of the front, and you'll have to see my one back fronts playlist, which is specific to one back formations, usually 10, 11, 12 personnel, okay? Split is one of the fronts that we have for that. We also use it versus two back, but it's a whole different playlist, split front versus two back, okay? So, and the rover is always going to be on the right in jungle, which therefore bumps the defensive line, stud, nose, and end, left. So the stud's always in a three, nose is always one technique in the center left, end's always a five technique. Always, always, always. This is jungle. Dime is always left. Okay, remember it's even Liz, so that puts dime left, rover right. See my playlist, base defense. Okay, Rover and Mike on an even call are on the right, Diamondback are on the left, so it's consistent with the base rules of our defense to line up. Okay, so therefore, looking at it, right, 51 C gap, 31 B gap. Boom, done. The difference, because of the tightness of the cluster, both the rover and the dime line up in what we would call outside shade of number one. You could call it a 9 technique, but it's not necessarily a tight end, although if the cluster's really close, right? So just say outside shade of one. It's easier. And then it's what we just simply say is funnel and sink, which means they are jamming two hands hard. It's orbit, so if it's a run, whether it's speed option or toss, they're coming up and forcing the ball inside now to all of this support. Okay, so both the rover and dime are doing this when they funnel hard inside and it's a pass. Now they just sink into the flat and they're looking for work. Anything coming into the flat. Okay, so let me get to what's up here in the top right when we say it's a gray 4 combo call. And what that combo is, it's gray 4, our base match quarters. See my match quarters gray 4 playlist. But the DBs are going to combo any verticals. And as again, outside linebacker is a flat drop and looking for anything coming in the flat. And I'll get to the inside backers in a minute. Okay. So first of all, they line up straight across at 8 yards of depth. Okay. As you can see, the corners are 2x8 outside, and the safeties are going to line up right over 2. But we're at 8 yards. This is a tight formation that loves to run mesh routes and crossers. And so the combo part of it, let's say 1 heads up the seam and 2 runs a wheel. Well, there's your combo, right? So there's no zoning off here. We're not necessarily reacting to the release of number 2. Okay, so you'd have to see my match quarters gray 4 playlist as well as the gray 3 variation. Safeties are not in jungle reacting to the release of 2. Okay, when in fact, we're not even necessarily reading number 2 here, except for the inside backers. Okay, outside backers are spot dropping into the flats, finding work. And what the outside corner defender is going to do is going to read 1 to 2, because this is your first immediate outside vertical threat. And the safeties are going to read 2 to 1. There's their immediate inside vertical threat. So if he goes out there, eyes simply scan to 1, and same with the corners. That's the combo. Okay, so corners read 1 to 2, safeties read 2 to 1. And that will happen quick. So that's why it's inside quarter versus outside quarter, why we call it gray 4 combo. Okay, and if they're running a hard mesh route coming across, they're not chasing. Now they're getting their eyes here on number 1. So if it is in fact an inside vertical, he'll take it. Now the corner has got to get his eyes looking for something coming across the formation, which is why we're in this. They bring us in hoping to get us picked off and run crossing routes with receivers, and this helps take care of it. So speaking of, our Mike and our backer, they 2 to 1 across. So on pass, they get their eyes to 2. If 2's trying to come across, they're going to build a wall. Their job is try and wall off a crosser from 2. If 2's out or vertical, their eyes go to 1. If 1's trying to come across, they're trying to wall them off. Okay? The term is wall, build a wall. Do not let him easily. They're taught how to avoid, but do not let him just easily race across the formation. Build a wall. Backer, build a wall from 2 to 1. Okay? If both are coming across, which isn't likely, but if they are, you're going to take number 2. Or if number 1 beats 2 across, then you're going to wall off 1. Bang! Okay? So that's what we do, and that's why we do it. So again, check jungle is our split front. This is the only way we line up. They do not line up any other way. This is essentially the formation that it's done to. Again, it could be 12 personnel, 10, 11, 21, 22, 20, doesn't matter. If they line up like this, we check jungle. Okay? And then if one of these eligible receivers to motion does in fact motion, we keep the front, but then we check 4. Okay? We'll keep the front, but then we'll check 4. If they motion out to a 3x1, we will check steel. Okay? Check steel. As always, please. And you have to see my 3x1 playlist for the check steel. Any questions, please reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com. I'd love to talk football.